All right. Okay. So Kelly, when we first got here Monday morning, what struck me first was the elderly gentleman who was bedridden, and apparently was very injured and looked very, very sickly. So, yeah, if you want to give me the little history on him when he got here, when we arrived, and what happened to him, and what we've done since then.
Okay, his name is Desir. He's probably 70-something, which is kind of old for most Haitians. I mean, the average age here in Haiti is 55. That's the age of mortality. So he's an older gentleman for Haiti. There aren't too many of him. He's had an amputation above the knee, so he has use of one leg only. And apparently he was out and about in the streets and he fell. Tore up his shin, had to have some stitches there, and sustained a laceration to the head too, and had to have like 7 or 8 stitches in the forehead. So right away, we just took a look at him to see what was going on. Usually in elderly people, no matter where they live, if they fall, there's some underlying reason why they've fallen, and for him it was a urinary tract infection that he had. Plus the fall itself really took a lot out of him. So we got here, we found him in bed, febrile, in a great deal of pain. They had taken him to the hospital where he had been stitched up, but that was it. That's where it ended. So our physician, Dr. Joe, went ahead right away and gave him some injectable antibiotics. He got some, we had some injectable gentamicin, so we got an injection each day. We started an IV and gave him some fluids to get him going. And the next day he looked much better. The fever was down. The third day he was doing better, but he didn't want to get out of bed. He's eating now, and today we've taken out the Foley catheter he had in. We've got him up to the wheelchair, and I told them about 3 to 4 days I want him standing. But for right now, I just want him out of the bed for a couple of hours to get his blood pressure used to being up and about.
So how's he doing?
Oh, he seems like he's getting over some type of infection, perhaps a urinary tract infection, dehydration, and it looks like they patched him up good at that local Good Samaritan Hospital, and we gave him a shot of antibiotics and steroids, and we're going to hang a liter of fluid, and hopefully I think that his prognosis is very good. His vital signs seem good, his heart rate was good, skin turgor. So I think that we'll see him progress over the next couple of days. Praise God.
A long time ago, and this is one of my favorite stories that you tell, so we definitely have to tell this story, was when you first came to Haiti and you were trying to teach them to breastfeed from the moment the child was born.
Right.
Because culturally they were taught, you told me for the first few days, not to breastfeed.
Right.
And that was causing a lot of infant mortality. So you go ahead and tell that story, because that's one of my favorite stories you tell.
When I came to Haiti, first came to Haiti, I had a prenatal program. And what I did was I had women from probably 10 to 12 villages, some of whom walked 3 miles to 5 miles to come to my clinic to get prenatal care. And what I did was I would have them come, and I would give them education. I gave them prenatal vitamins. I did an examination to make sure the baby was okay. I had one of those old-fashioned stethoscopes that the doctors used to have.
Oh, where you have it here and put it on the baby?
Yeah, you put it on the mother's belly and you could hear the baby's heartbeat. And the thing I loved about them was that Haitian women tend to be a little hard if you first talk to them, because it's just, life is hard here, and they tend to be a little gruff if you speak to them in the streets or whatever, because they're trying to protect themselves. But the minute you would tell that woman, you could hear the heartbeat. Mm-hmm. She would just soften right up and even cry most of the time to know that there was a life within her. So one of the education pieces that I chose to talk to them about was breastfeeding, because as people may or may not know, I remember back in the 80s they would protest the Nestle Corporation in the streets of Boston, because Nestle was importing formula all over the world, and so women were mixing formula with dirty water and killing their children because the infants just couldn't take the bacteria and the problems they had. Plus the poor, the other thing they do is they'll take that formula and they haven't got enough money to make it full strength, so they'll make it half strength. Here in Haiti, they didn't even have money for formula. They would use cornstarch, and they mix it with water to feed to the children for formula. So one of the things I wanted to do was teach them to breastfeed. And as I worked with them, I found out that they believed the first 3 days the mother produces a substance called colostrum. And that colostrum helps clear out all the baby's intestines when the baby's in uterus or in the mother's stomach. That there's like a mucus plug. The baby's swallowing fluid from inside the mother's uterus. And so what has to happen is that colostrum cleans that all out so the baby's digestive tract can work naturally. And they believed that colostrum was poison. So what they would do is they would start by feeding the baby, they had a nut, an oil that they use in the hair to soften the hair, and they would put it in the dirty water and feed it to the baby. So when I first came to Haiti, in the villages I was working, probably one out of every 4 infants was dying regularly, that I was delivering. And it was because they wouldn't breastfeed them. They were dying from tetanus, but the number one reason is the mothers wouldn't breastfeed. And then they would feed them this cornstarch, so they were malnourished. So I took upon the job of trying to teach them about breastfeeding. And they didn't receive it because in Haiti, folklore is more important than education. They thought I didn't know what I was talking about. Plus, the other piece I had to learn, and it took me 2 years to learn this, was that the woman who's giving birth is not in charge of her birth or her children. The oldest woman in the clan is the one who makes decisions. They're very, I don't want to say tribal, but they're very communal, so that everybody in the family raises those children, and the oldest woman is boss. So each woman, I would say, talk to them about breastfeeding, and no one would breastfeed. And I would go and I would deliver the baby, and no one would breastfeed. So finally I picked one woman who I knew, the oldest woman in the clan. The oldest woman in the clan had, my first year in Haiti, I had bought her a goat as a gift, given it to the family. So I chose this family, and this particular woman I began telling every time she came to the clinic, you're going to be the first one to breastfeed in the village. After I deliver that baby, you're going to put that baby to the breast. And she would look at me with kind of a bit of a fear, but every time I told her. When the day finally came that she delivered, it was like theater. I got to the delivery, it was an afternoon, everybody was outside, she was on the porch giving birth. Everybody in the village had come to watch the confrontation. And they were all surrounded, and I made my way through the crowd, and I got up there and I said to her, remember now, when we deliver this baby, the baby's going to go to the breast. And the older woman stood there. She was a very tall Haitian woman, very thin, her straw hat on, watching the whole scene. And when the baby was born, I cut the cord, I took the baby, and I brought the baby to the mother, and I laid it next to her breast, and I opened her breast, and I put the baby next to the breast, and everything went quiet. And she kind of looked at me, and then I heard from behind me, do what the white says. And so I put the baby to the breast, and the baby started to nurse. And they all started talking, the baby's going to die, the baby's going to die, it's going to be bad, the baby's going to die. And the baby took a little bit, and then the baby went to sleep and slept on her breast. And for several days, I came down to the village, put the baby to the breast, and just to encourage it. And that was the last time nobody breastfed. After that, everybody breastfed, because they saw that that baby lived, and they saw how fat that baby was, and they saw how healthy that baby was.
Nobody wanted to take the risk that their folklore was right and put their baby at risk.
Right. And so it took that woman, and when I bought the goat, I didn't do it, That $40 investment of a goat changed the lives of the entire village,
Yeah, I love that story.
Yeah, it's a good story. And one thing I did, I had a class in my master's program where we had to do a piece of artwork showing a particular moment. And so I made a stained glass, I'll have to send you a picture of it, a stained glass picture. And in the stained glass, out of stained glass, I have the Haitian woman lying with a pregnant stomach, and the nurse standing up at her feet. You know what I mean?
I think
and
you sent me a picture of that.
Yeah. So I did do something to remember that.
No, that was nice.
Why don't you tell me about your motorcycle adventure and how you arrived at the airport in
Yes,
style?
that was I waited till late in life to start